I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're diving into Split Harmony. Turn the X factor from chaos to compassion with author Peter Hobler. This transformative guide helps parents navigate the tumultuous waters of divorce without harming their children emotionally. Through his X factor approach, he advocates for forgiveness and responsibility, aiming to replace chaos with compassion. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank our team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his insightful book. The links are below this interview. Peter, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Oh, thank you, Logan. It's fantastic to be here. I'm honored and humbled, and hopefully we can spread some good news that there is hope in the realm of divorce for children. Yes.
Absolutely. Tell me what motivated you to develop your X factor approach when dealing with divorce.
Well, it's a great question, Logan. After going through my own divorce, and I've always journaled a lot, but I started writing different thoughts, experiences, the challenges, the ups, the downs. And there were a lot more challenges, a lot more downs in a realm of divorce. And I started thinking, there has to be a better way. And I mean, I had one child at the time, and our daughter, Allie, was 3 at the time that we went through divorce. And I realized she was the one that was always in the middle. Everything we do as parents sets an example for our kids, whether they're present or not, whether we realize it or not. And that led me to start writing my own personal guide, if you will. And I've always been into self-growth, whether it's Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, there's so many. I mean, look at my bookshelves up here, and there's tons of books up here. Yeah. And I realized as I was going through my own personal coaching, I've had different personal coaches through the years. And so we started talking about this, but I actually, through this whole process, came across 3 different mentors, if you will, who I share in my book, Split Harmony, and how they helped me. And I realized so many of us, including myself, we just end up being reactive. And I know I was. And every time we're reactive, my ex was reactive back, and it just became a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
So that was sort of the beginning. And I mean, I could go on from there, but I want to make sure we have time to go through all your questions.
Absolutely. Forgiveness is a critical aspect of changing the dynamics of a post-divorce family, correct?
Absolutely. And there's more than one facet to forgiveness. There's actually 3 facets to forgiveness. The very first step in forgiveness is to forgive yourself for the role you've played. And no matter what any individual thinks, we all have played a role leading up to the divorce situation. The second step is to at least have the desire to forgive your ex. And hopefully, ultimately, you can lead up to literally being able to forgive him or her. And then the final step is to ask the ex to forgive you, which is really tough. But that's really the foundational underlying. And it's interesting, Logan, the original 3 principles I brought to the table from Split Harmony came from my first published book, Courage to Find the Fire Within. And courage is an acronym for 7 principles. But clarity, awareness, and responsibility are the 3 I brought into Split Harmony. I actually call it your vehicle because it spells car, C-I-R. It's your vehicle to create an environment for your children that's good for them. And what do you want to create for them? But in having conversations with my current wife, Lori, who's been my greatest gift from above, she asked me, what about forgiveness? Because she went through a pretty bad situation going through her divorce years ago. And I realized, wow, that's actually the foundation that underlies everything in order for you to truly begin.
Yeah, I agree. I also that will establish a dialogue. If there's been transgressions or whatever, you say you're sorry, you mean it, you apologize. It gives you a little common ground from where you can start perhaps co-parenting, which is difficult to do because of emotional maturity levels of the parties at times, the stress of having children, and of course, the divorce wars that are played out in court kind of fuel this. I mean, often it's a matter of money. If one is the primary parent, they're going to get a lot of money. If there's co-parenting and split 50-50, maybe no money will go either way. And, so that's what I think fuels the war. Do you agree?
I think money is one of the major underlying obstacles, if you will. So I agree with that. But for me, it's the fact that all of us have a tendency to take things personally, which leads to anger, and we get reactive.
Yeah.
And the second you get angry, number one, you've lost control of yourself.
Mhm.
Two, you've lost control of the interaction, in this case with your ex or ex-to-be, but with anyone. And number three, when you're angry, yelling at someone, do you really think you'll ever get what you really want? Hell no, you won't.
Agreed. Agreed 100%. What are the common challenges you see in families who are trying to adopt the principles of split harmony?
Wow. I'm actually retired from coaching, but the biggest challenge is shifting habits, shifting your subconscious mode of decision making. My belief is that for all of us as young children, our lifetime conditioning happened. And I know for me, I had challenges with my father. My father and I maybe ever had 3 meaningful conversations, and it was always doing things his way or the highway. So when my daughter was born, and as she started to get older, I would catch myself doing the things, saying the things in a way my father did with me that I hated, that I didn't like. And I was doing the same things all over again. So having awareness, that self-awareness, and I say awareness is where it all begins. When we catch ourselves doing things over and over again, from the condition that started in childhood, that's really a starting point. And then not taking things personally. That's one of the biggest life-changing realizations any of us can ever have. When somebody gets angry, and in the realm of divorce, there's usually a lot of anger, as I believe you've personally experienced. Just one reaction and outburst leads to another from the other side, and it just becomes a vicious cycle that pulls everybody down, and in particular, negatively impacts our kids.
Yeah. And that's what people need to keep an eye on. It's for the best interest of the children. You want to, have them have the happiest upbringing, the happiest lifestyle possible. And with a subtext of anger, and bullying and blaming going on underneath it all, you're sabotaging their lives, whether you realize it or not.
100%,
Yeah.
100% agree.
Yeah.
And personal responsibility, is another one of the main aspects. And when we're blaming, shaming, or excuse making, I actually got that from another coach, but when we're doing that, we're not taking personal responsibility. It's actually the actual opposite, and we're not in integrity with ourselves or with the other person. And in order to be in integrity with someone else, you have to first be in integrity with yourself, and vice versa. To be in integrity with yourself, you have to be in integrity with others. And personal responsibility basically equates to being in integrity.
So forgiveness, personal responsibility, what are some of the other practical steps that parents can take to start creating a good environment for their children during this time of breakup?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's a vital question, I think, to ask yourself when you're considering, much less going through divorce. To me, it all begins with having clarity. I mean, I say awareness is where it all begins. So once you have awareness that things aren't going the way you want, or maybe that your children are being emotionally and psychologically traumatized from what's going on between you and the ex or ex-to-be, it's vital. It's vital to get clarity for what you want for your kids. And clarity is huge in life, but to me, I ask the question, what do you really want for your kids? Because it's making it bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
What do you want for your children? What values do you want to instill? Every time we speak, say, take action, especially as they start to get a little older, we're setting the example for our kids, which is teaching them. And when I realized I wanted to empower my daughter rather than disempower her for her future, whether it was in relationships, when she went to college, when she graduated and got a job, which is where she is now at age 26, that question led me to really do some work. And I journal all the time. So, I would literally handwrite things down, and handwriting is different than typing on a computer. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a key thing. When you're handwriting, you think differently. Mm-hmm. And you write it down, and it's no longer a fleeting thought. You can come back, you can review it, you can come up with a plan, because once you get clarity for what you want for your kids, you have to also ask the questions, who and how do I need to be to create what I want for my kids? Otherwise, it doesn't happen.
Right. I think that's powerful advice. Picture the life you want for your child and then figure out how to do it. Even if you're dealing with a three-eyed demon on the other side, you're going to have to realize there's got to be a way you have to get along just for the sake of your child with that three-eyed demon. Do you think it's parenting schedules, clear orders from the court? You think those are important when it comes to parenting? Or if it's gotten down to such fine print and nitty-gritty, you're on the wrong path?
I think that probably depends upon the divorce attorneys, how understanding and compassionate they are. I know, thinking back to the situation we were in, all of a sudden we were divorced. We got divorced when our daughter was 3, and things have been going pretty smoothly. And all of a sudden, my ex-wife is refusing to go along with the schedule the two of us had agreed with. She said, we're going, by the schedule in the divorce decree. The schedule in the divorce decree was every other day. Every other day, Logan, for a 3-year-old child. There's no stability, there's no consistency. So I think it depends. Now, if I had had more awareness back at that time, I just wanted to get it done, right? The ex probably did at the time too, and she made it a lot about money, which is fine and whatnot. But I would have, instead of signing things, I would have insisted to my divorce attorney that she come up with something, a schedule that would be better for our daughter. And I actually later spoke with some child psychologist about that type of schedule. I think it was 3 of them. Every one of us, oh my gosh, that's terrible for a 3-year-old.
Yeah, there's no consistency, there's no stability. You're going from one house to the next house like a ping pong ball, no doubt. But like you said, you've had time to think things through. You've put those thoughts in this book, and it's a powerful book. And the mistakes that I made and the mistakes that Peter might have made during his divorce, perhaps you won't make if you read this book. It's called Split Harmony. Turn the X factor from chaos to compassion. It's a transformative guide, and it helps parents navigate the very turbulent waters of divorce without harming their children emotionally. It's an important book. The links are below this interview. Peter, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you, Logan. True privilege and honor, and God bless you all of you parents going through already divorced, and especially God bless your children, because they need you to step up and set the best possible example you can.
Agreed. Great advice for sure. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.